Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. This time, we're cracking open the 2024 Ford F-150 Owner's Manual.
Ooh, exciting. Always a good idea.
Right. We're going to see if we can dig up some of those hidden gems, the stuff that maybe even some seasoned F-150 owners might not know.
I love it. Like little Easter eggs hidden in plain sight.
Exactly. Think tech tricks, off-roading tips, those, hold on, my truck can do that
Huh.
moments.
I think we'll find some good ones in there. Let's dive right in. Where do we want to start?
Well, how about safety? Gotta keep it top of mind. The manual talks about this personal safety system. Seems like it's more than just your typical airbags.
It is. It's a pretty advanced system, actually. It uses sensors to figure out how bad a crash is and who's in the truck. Then it activates the right safety features. Like, it's pretty smart.
Wow, that's wild. Kind of like a guardian angel looking out for you.
You could say that.
Yeah.
But the manual is also big on personal responsibility, like making sure your seatbelt and headrests are adjusted right, especially for kids. And car seats, too, they really lay down the law on that.
Yeah, you can have all the tech in the world, but it's on us to use it properly. Keep everyone safe.
Absolutely. And the manual does a good job explaining the why behind all those rules. Did you know there's a whole section on properly installing child restraints? It's all about keeping those little ones safe.
Makes sense. All right, let's switch gears a bit and talk tech. I gotta say, I'm always blown away by how much tech is packed into these trucks these days.
Oh, yeah. The F-150 is like a rolling computer. There's so much to uncover. Ever heard of the keyless entry keypad?
Keyless entry keypad. Rings a bell, but I can't say I've used it.
You can set up your own personal code to unlock the truck. Like, no keys needed.
Whoa, really? That's actually pretty cool. Like if you're going for a run or just working out in the garage, you don't have to worry about those keys.
Exactly. And speaking of personalization, the memory function goes beyond just your seat settings. It can remember your steering wheel position, too.
Oh, right. I knew it did more than just the seats, but I always forget what else. See, this is exactly the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Hidden gems. Oh, and we gotta talk about the USB ports and power outlets. Those are lifesavers.
Oh, for sure. Always got to keep those devices powered up, right? The manual actually breaks down the different types of ports. Some are for data transfer, some are just for charging.
Oh, I've always wondered about that. So if I want to connect my phone to the truck's system, I need to use a specific one.
You got it. And get this, there's a super powerful outlet right in the pickup bed. 110, 120V, 400W.
Seriously, what kind of stuff could you even run off that?
Imagine power and tools on a job site. Or, maybe you're tailgating and want to fire up a blender for some margaritas.
Haha, okay, now you're talking. That's a game changer. I'm starting to think this manual is way more interesting than I gave it credit for.
Oh, we've just scratched the surface. Let's talk about actually driving this beast. On-road, off-road, you name it. The F-150's got it covered.
That's what I love about it. It's a workhorse A&D, a fun machine.
Okay.
But let's be honest, all those four-wheel drive modes can be a little confusing. 2H, 4A, 4H, 4L. When do you use which one?
Yeah, it can be a bit of a head-scratcher.
Yeah.
Picture this, you're heading up to a cabin in the mountains and it starts snowing like crazy. The 4WD system's your best friend in that situation. We'll break down those different modes so you know exactly which one to use, whether it's slippery roads or, serious off-roading.
That's clutch, especially for those of us living in places where the weather can throw you a curveball.
Right.
All right, so I gotta ask. All those fancy driver assist features, traction control, stability control, even trail control. Sometimes it feels like a lot to keep track of.
It can be a lot of acronyms, that's for sure. But the cool thing is the manual emphasizes that you're still in control, even with all that tech helping out.
So it's like having a co-pilot who's got your back, but they know when to let you take the lead.
Exactly. You're still the captain of this ship. Now, speaking of tricky situations, ever white-knuckled it down a steep hill, just wishing there was an easier way?
Oh, tell me about it. I remember trying to get down a muddy trail in my old truck. It was terrifying.
Yeah, those situations are no fun. That's where hill descent control comes in. It's basically cruise control for going downhill. You can even adjust the speed to match the terrain. The manual explains how to use it like a pro.
I'm adding that to my list of things to try. I also saw something about overriding the automatic engine stop.
Right. Sometimes you want that engine running, especially if you're idling for a bit or in certain off-road situations. The manual shows you how to do it.
I love that they give you that option. It's all about having the knowledge to make the truck work for you.
Absolutely. It's about being in the driver's seat, literally and figuratively.
Man, this deep dive is already so much more interesting than just flipping through the manual on my own.
Oh, we're just getting started. There's a whole lot more to explore. Parking assist, towing tips, off-roading adventures, and all kinds of maintenance stuff.
I'm buckled up and ready for the ride. Let's see what other hidden gems we can unearth. All right, back for more F-150 deep dive action. I gotta say, I'm already feeling like a bit of an F-150 expert after that first segment.
That's great to hear. See? The manual's not so intimidating after all.
It's actually kind of fun when you dig into it. Speaking of fun, let's talk parking. Specifically, the stuff that makes life easier. Parallel parking. I'm looking at you. Heard the F-150 has some pretty sweet features to help with that.
Oh, yeah, it does. Ever wish you could just let someone else take over the wheel in those tight parking spots?
All the time. Like, just magically slide into the spot without breaking a sweat.
Well, Active Park Assist is pretty close to magic. It helps you find a spot and then basically steers the truck right in,
Yeah.
parallel or perpendicular.
Wait, hold on. The truck actually steers itself? I gotta see this to believe it.
It does. You work the gas and brake pedals, but the system handles the steering. The manual's got a whole step-by-step guide on how to use it.
I am definitely trying that out later. That's awesome. And what about that 360-degree camera? I've heard that's a game changer for parking, too.
It is. It's like having eyes all around your truck. Gives you a bird's eye view so you can see everything. Super helpful when you're squeezing into a tight spot.
That makes sense. I'm always craning my neck, trying to see what's around me. Does it only show you that top-down view, or are there other options?
Oh, it's got different views you can choose from. Split view, bed camera view, even an auxiliary camera view if you need it. And here's a cool one for those who tow. Hitch view. Makes hooking up a trailer so much easier.
No more backing up and adjusting a million times. I'm sold. Speaking of towing, the manual's got a whole section on that, right?
You bet. It can seem daunting, but the manual breaks it down step by step. From hitching up the trailer safely to using features like the integrated trailer brake controller.
And what about that smart hitch thing? What's that all about?
Smart Hitch is all about weight distribution. It helps you get the balance right between the truck and the trailer. Safer, smoother towing.
Makes sense. You don't want the tail wagging the dog, right?
Exactly. And speaking of safety, did you know there's a trailer connection alarm?
That's a new one. What's that do?
It basically lets you know if your trailer comes unhooked while you're driving. Talk about peace of mind.
Whoa. That's seriously impressive. What happens? Does an alarm go off in the truck or something?
You get an alert in the truck, and you get a notification on your Ford Pass app.
So you'll know right away, no matter where you are. Okay, that Ford Pass app's going straight to the top of my download list.
It's pretty handy.
Mm-hmm.
So, ready to hit the trails? Let's talk off-roading. The F-150 is built for it, but even if you're new to off-roading, the manual's got you covered.
Yeah, I'm more of a pavement kind of guy, but I'm always up for a little adventure. What kind of off-roading tips does the manual have?
It covers the basics, how to approach obstacles, cross ditches, climb hills safely, and it stresses being prepared, you know? Like, do a slow observation run in unfamiliar areas to check for hazards before you really get going.
Good advice. I've learned that one the hard way a few times. Oh, what about that Trail 1 pedal drive? I vaguely remember seeing that in the manual.
That's a fun one. It's made for those tricky, low-speed off-road situations. Basically, you control the truck with just the gas pedal.
So no more swishing back and forth between gas and brake.
Exactly. It gives you more control, and it's less tiring, too. The manual goes into detail on how to use it effectively.
Okay, you've officially convinced me. I'm taking my F-150 off-road this weekend. Now, I gotta ask, what other hidden gems did you find in the manual?
Well, one thing that caught my eye was the fail-safe cooling system.
Fail-safe cooling. Sounds serious. What's that all about?
It's like a backup plan for your engine. If things start getting too hot, this system kicks in to prevent serious damage.
So even if I push the truck too hard, there's a safety net.
You got it. The manual explains that it basically turns some of the cylinders into air pumps to help cool things down. Pretty clever, huh?
That is pretty ingenious. Any downsides?
Well, you might lose some engine power, and the AC might shut off for a bit while the engine cools down. But hey, it's better than a fried engine, right?
No doubt about it. It's always better to be safe than sorry, especially when you're dealing with extreme conditions.
Speaking of extreme conditions, the manual's got a whole section on how to prep your truck for storage, short-term or long-term.
Oh, that's good to know. I usually just park mine for the winter and forget about it.
Well, they give some tips on things like battery maintenance, tire pressure, even protecting the interior from the elements. It's worth checking out.
Definitely going to take a look at that before the next cold snap hits. Okay, before we wrap up, I gotta ask. We've talked about all the cool things the F-150 can do, but does the manual ever talk about its limits?
You mean things like weight limits, towing capacities?
Exactly. I'm thinking about getting a bigger travel trailer, and I want to make sure my truck can handle it.
Well, good news. There's a whole section on load-carrying precautions and tow ratings.
Oh, thank goodness. Those charts and tables can be a bit much, but I know it's important to know what your truck can and can't do.
Absolutely. The manual makes it easy to understand, and it breaks down the different types of trailers, too. Conventional, fifth wheel, gooseneck.
Perfect. Now I can shop for a trailer with confidence. This deep dive has been a total game changer. Feel like I've leveled up my F-150 knowledge for sure.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
And we're not done yet. Still more to uncover in this treasure trove of a manual.
Well, I'm ready to keep digging. Let's see what other nuggets of wisdom we can find. All right, we're back. Going through this manual, it's really hit me how much it emphasizes both knowing what your F-150 can do and respecting its limits.
Definitely. It's not just about capability, it's about using your truck responsibly.
Exactly. Like, there's this whole section on load carrying precautions, and it's not just about how much weight you can put in the bed. It talks about how to distribute it properly, like if you've got a camper shell or something.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. You don't want too much weight on one side or hanging off the back. It can mess with your balance and handling.
Right. Could even be dangerous. So even though it's a tough truck, you got to treat it with respect.
Exactly. Respect the truck, it'll respect you back. And that goes for the environment too, like when we were talking about off-roading. The manual really stresses minimizing your impact out there. Stick to designated trails, avoid sensitive areas, that kind of thing.
Right, right. It's a powerful machine. Got to use that power responsibly.
Couldn't agree more. And that responsibility extends to safety too, yours and everyone else's. The manual's got a ton of warnings and precautions, but it's not about scaring you. It's about making sure you're informed.
Yeah, it's like understanding the limits of things like adaptive cruise control or lane keeping. Those features are great, but they're there to assist you, not replace you.
Exactly. You got to stay alert, pay attention to your surroundings, and make good decisions. Tech can be a great help, but nothing beats a good driver.
I gotta say, I've learned so much from this deep dive. Went from feeling like an F-150 newbie to, well, at least knowing a lot more than I did before.
That's awesome. It just shows how much valuable info is packed into that owner's manual.
Seriously, I used to think it was just a boring old book, but now I see it like a treasure map, a guide to unlocking the full potential of my F-150.
I like that. A treasure map to F-150 mastery. And who knows, maybe it'll even inspire you to try some new things, hit some trails, tow something you've never towed before.
Maybe it will. All right, so to everyone listening, do yourselves a favor. Grab your owner's manual, dust it off, and really take some time to dig in. You might be surprised by what you find.
You just might uncover some hidden features and tips that'll make your F-150 experience even better.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And with that, we're wrapping up this F-150 deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
And remember, keep on trucking and stay safe out there.